Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Mix Tip Tuesday. My name is Alex here on YouTube. We're here every week giving you guys insights on production techniques, mixing techniques, and mastering. This week we're going to focus on mastering, and as you can see on the screen, I'm using the Lurssen Mastering Console from IK Multimedia. So for this demonstration, I wanted to show how I was able to use it inside of my workflow, especially because a lot of people think that, it's only a preset, it's only, one type of setting. And I'm going to show you how you can kind of work around those types of limitations using the plugin and how I was able to use it inside of my workflow. For this demonstration, I'm using a track from recording artist Don Rico Colden, and the track is called Sing to Me. Don, thanks so much for letting me use this for the video, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Check it out. Na 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 da 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 da. Sing to me, Lord, the song that you want me to sing. Play for me, Lord. Cool, so as you guys can hear from the music, it's real simple. It's like a nice ballad, slower R&B gospel track with just piano and vocals. And I was able to use the Lurssen Mastering Console to emphasize the coloration and also the overall tone of this track. So first of all, let's discuss on what it's not. All right, what it's not the end-all be-all plugin for mastering. The reason I say that is because if you have to do surgical EQ or if you have to do stereo widening, you have to use other plugins for that, and it's okay. You know what? A couple years ago when Waves came out with their artist collection series, like the CLA and the Jack Joseph Puig and the Manny Marroquin and the Maserati, those plugins were designed as a workflow from that artist with just a few parameters, a couple of knobs. And basically that's the concept right here. If you look at the Lurssen Mastering Console, you only have a couple of knobs to play around with. And then you have this icon right here. If you click on it, you can kind of see what the signal path is, what the signal chain is. Now, what they've done is that they've captured the signal chain that Lurssen has used for different types of music. And those are available here under Style. So you have Americana Loose, you have EDM, you have hip hop, pop rock. And depending on which preset you use, the signal flow will change. So you might have a tube limiter, you might not have a tube limiter. Now you do have some control. For example, on the solid state de-esser, you can adjust the threshold and look at the gain reduction. In this case, it wasn't doing much. And then you also have the solid state compressor, which is at the very end. Also, from what I understand, when you increase the makeup gain, if you increase it too much, it's going to hit a internal brick wall limiter. So if this is the last thing on your chain, then you can use that. But where this really comes into play as far as using it as a plugin in my workflow was to insert it in a spot on my signal chain where I wanted to add coloration. So let's take a look at the mastering chain for me. So for this track, I used first of all the BX refinement to remove some of the harshness. So we'll solve the filter there. Okay, so it's got that one function, which is just to deharsh the mids there. Next up is using Ozone for de-essing, which is right here, using the mid band. So I'm using the mid channel on the high end, which is right here, just for pretty much de-essing. Lord, the melody you like to. And when it's hitting the de-esser, it's barely hitting, 0.1, 0.2 dB. Because with mastering, all those little gestures, those small movements make a big difference in the end. All right, so then next up is the Lurssen console, and let's kind of dive into this. All right, so you have a few parameters to play around with. Like I mentioned, the first starting point is to start on the style here on the presets and choose whatever style suits your song or your needs. Secondly is to adjust the input drive. So I'm going to reset these settings for now, and I'm going to set it to 0. And I'm also going to mention this little bar right here, which I can move, which I'm not going to move, but I can move. It's like a reference point to show me like, okay, where was I at? Well, I know that before I started the video, I was there. So that's where we're going to end up at. Okay. So basically you have the input drive, which drives the signal through this entire plugin chain,
which is going to affect the tube limiter, it's going to affect the de-esser, it's going to affect the solid state compressor. All right. And then you have these EQ functions down here. So you have 60, 120, 3K, 6K, 10K. And I'm barely doing like -1, -2, +1, +2 on any one of these bands because, again, when you're mastering, you want to just do very subtle gestures. All right, so let's listen to what this sounds like. We're going to put this on bypass, and then we're going to turn it on, and then we're going to adjust the input drive to kind of hear the coloration that the Lurssen Mastering Console is doing. So check it out. We're going to start with bypass, and then we'll turn it on.
What you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear, say to me the words that you want me to say. Hey, and I'll say them just for you. So sing to me the song.
So I know that there's a volume change, and we can adjust the makeup gain. We can bring that down. Now, I will caution you, it's pretty difficult to do a apples to apples comparison as far as before and after with volume because there's no like global output volume. I wish that they had an output volume knob, even if it's like a digital parameter, so that you can compare before and after. But hopefully they do that with an update. I'm not sure. However, let's hear what happens when we increase the input drive and listen to the overall tone of the song, listen to the tone of the voice, listen to whether the voice sounds small or whether it sounds full. Also listen to the roundness of the piano. Check it out.
What you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear, say to me the words that you want me to say. Hey, and I'll say them just for you.
Okay, great. So I think around there, that's when, the tone of the song is actually being modified and changed quite a bit. I would probably say about 20 or 30%. Now, I did end up over here for the final master, but I'm not going to go there yet because I want to talk about the EQ parameters at the bottom. So you have these fixed EQ parameters. And from the looks of the picture, I think that they're adjusting a couple of things. They could be adjusting this first tube equalizer. Some of the other bands could be adjusting the solid state equalizer. It's really hard to tell. They don't really let you in on the secret sauce, but they do give you the global parameter controls. So in my case, if I wanted to add a little bit more air on the vocals, I would boost 10K. If I wanted to add more presence as far as sharpness, I would boost 3K or 6K. So let's listen to what happens when we increase these settings.
What you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear, say to me the words that you want me to say.
All right, so that definitely gives that nice air to the vocal. It might be a little bit too much, but I have this de-esser right here that is catching those peaks. So by playing around with the pre, which is going to be, the send of the EQ, and then the post, which is going to be the de-esser, then you can kind of get a blend of, before and after. All right, let's reset this and let's play around with the 6K and 3K area.
What you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear, say to me the words that you want. Okay, so that makes the vocals a little bit more sharper. That's probably going to cut through better on small speakers. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And let's boost 3K and see what happens. What you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear. Now, what's pretty crazy about this is that if I use like a standard digital parametric EQ and boost 3K, it's going to be really harsh. However, because this is going through this entire processing chain, I'm boosting a bunch of 3K and it's getting there, but it's not like so harsh. So it's pretty crazy because I don't know what the bandwidth, what the shape of the curve is for this EQ, but you can tell that they were pretty intelligent in
choosing the right shape. In this case, for my master, I actually brought it down just a little bit to remove some of that harshness, even though I'm doing that already with the BX refinement. Okay, lastly, I want to say that you can drive the push for like all these EQ parameters up and down. And again, that's going to affect the overall signal chain. So just for kicks and giggles here, we'll increase the input drive. We'll bring up the makeup gain down, and then we'll kind of see if we can overdrive the settings here on the Lurssen Mastering Console. Here we go.
That you want me to sing, play for me, Lord. The melody you'd like to hear, say to me the words that you want me to say, hey, and I'll say them just for you. So sing to me the song that you want me to sing, and play for me, Lord, the melody you'd like to hear, and say to me, yeah, the words that you want to say, yeah.
Okay, so we'll stop it right there. So hopefully you guys can hear from this video and from this example how you can use the Lurssen console as a coloration box inside of your masters. Now I will say this as well, is that I've used this plugin inside of a mixing session, just applying it to the lead vocal processing, and I was floored by the results. So I encourage you that if you download the demo, don't limit yourself to just using it as a master. You know, it is a software, so you can use it however you want. You know, put it on your drum bus, put it on your bass track and see what happens, you know, and if it's too much CPU processing, then print that or freeze that track. So anyways, that's all the time that I have this week for you guys here on Mixtip Tuesday. Again, my name is Alex here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for reaching out to me on social media, on the comments below. I appreciate all your support and help. As always, if you want to be notified every week when we have new videos, sign up to the newsletter. I'll leave a link on the description below. And thanks again so much for watching. Have a great week.